You ever wonder how much you should be feeding your quail? That's what we're going to get cleared up in today's video. Oh, hey guys, welcome back to another slightly unique video. Again, my name's Chris, and if you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, deck, or garage, or even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. Today we're going to be talking about how much you should be feeding your quail. This is a question that's come up fairly frequently on my channel, and I've always tried to answer that question on, during my live broadcasts and things like that, but I figured, you know, let's just shoot another video on it for new subscribers that may not have seen previous videos where I've discussed it, and we'll get it all cleared up. It's a pretty simple answer. Feed them as much as they're going to eat. For the most part, you want to keep your feeders full all the time. You don't want them to run out of food. If quail run out of food, then they tend to get a little bit aggressive with each other and start picking on each other and pulling feathers and those kinds of things. So really, you want to keep the feeders full all the time. But let's dive a little bit more into that question. How much food is that going to equal out to? On average, the quail eat about a half a pound of food per week. Now, per adult bird. Now, your younger birds will eat a little bit less, of course, until they grow up. For the first couple of weeks of life, they're going to eat a little bit less. But for the most part, you can figure about a half a pound of food per bird. Now, that's just how much they're going to eat. There is going to be a certain amount of waste that goes along with it. They're incredibly messy eaters. So if you have an open feeder where they can get into it, they're going to get into it and try to dust bath in it. They're going to shake their heads all around. They're going to throw food everywhere. I highly suggest you invest in a spill-proof or a waste-free feeder. Well, I shouldn't call it waste-free, but low-waste feeder. I've got an example of one that probably got blown off the top here. It's way back there in the woods. Let me go get it. All right, here we go. So it probably got blown off the top of the hutch. I had it sitting up there, and we've had some high winds. So these are the kinds of feeders I use. You can use really any kind of container you want. I've actually got a much bigger one in the hutch right now, but it's this simple concept. It's just something with a lid on it, like a Tupperware style container, and cut some holes in it. Oh, I don't know, about an inch and a half across, so the birds can stick their head through and feed. And then you just fill it up to the bottom of those holes. That'll significantly reduce the amount of waste that you have. Now, it's not completely waste-free. Get that set back up here, so hopefully it doesn't blow off again. It's not completely waste-free, but it does eliminate a lot of waste. So if we figure waste into it with a feeder like this, maybe figure another half a pound of feed wasted per month. On your, you know, when the birds are eating, they're going to throw some food somewhere, and you can probably see, Max, get back. Well, you can't see the ground, but there is some quail feed down underneath the hutch. Back, leave it. Go on, go on. Sorry, dog is getting underneath there. You guys can't see him. He's off camera a little bit, but anyway, there is a little bit of feed wasted down there. Not a lot, but a little bit. So if we figure half a pound wasted per bird per month, that puts each bird eating roughly 1.5 pounds, or going through about 1.5 pounds of feed per month. Well, I am pretty bad at math apparently, because that comes out to 2.5 pounds of feed per month. So just keep that in mind for the rest of the video. Some of my math is a little bit off, but you know, it should give you basically what you need on that. So you can kind of use that as a base figure to figure out how much feed you're going to go through in a month. Depending on how many birds that you have, each bird's going to go through about 1.5 pounds of feed per month. You know, some months maybe a little more, some months a little less, but it probably averages out pretty close to about 1.5 pounds. So if you get a 50-pound bag of food, that's going to be, boy, that's hard to do math in my head. What's that, about 33 birds that would last for a month? If you had 33 birds, you'd go through about 50 pounds in a month. So you can kind of figure that out. If you have less, if let's say 20 birds, let me get the calculator out because I don't want to show how bad I am at math in my head. So let's say we have 20 birds in our hutch. 20 birds times 1.5 pounds of feed is about 30 pounds of feed in a month. So you can kind of extrapolate your cost from that and everything, how much cost is per bag of quail food. So let's say I have about 22 birds in here, somewhere right around in there. So let me do the math on that. I've got to count them up to be sure, but it doesn't matter. You get the idea. So let's say 22 birds times 1.5 pounds of feed. That's 33 pounds of feed in a month. Now, if a 50-pound bag of feed costs me $15, let's say $15 divided by a 50-pound bag of feed. That's about what I'm paying for feed right now. That's 30 cents a pound times, what did I say it was? 30 cents a pound. Hang on, I gotta do the math again. 33 pounds times 0.3. It's about $9.90, $10 a month. Now, if we want to figure it out by one bird, let's say 50-pound bag of feed costs $15. So 15 divided by 50 pounds, that's 30 cents a pound times 1.5 pounds. What it costs per bird per month is about 45 cents a month to feed out one bird. And that's figuring in some waste. Your waste may be a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but that's probably pretty much average. Figure about $1 a month maybe, somewhere right around in there, and you're probably going to be well over the figures of how much it's actually going to cost. But again, the key is keep their feeders full all the time. You do not want to let their feeders run out because they will start turning on each other. You'll get some cannibalism and fighting and some of those kinds of things. They won't overeat. You don't need to worry about them eating too much and getting too fat or any of those kinds of things. But you do need to worry about if they run out of food getting aggressive with each other. So this is a pretty simple answer, pretty simple topic to discuss. Hopefully you found some value in that and it answered the questions you were looking for. This is one of the reasons why I think quail are a fantastic food product for you, a fantastic homesteading animal, is because they're incredibly cheap to raise. Once you get your initial investments done, hang on, got a phone call. Sorry, call for work. I forgot where I was talking. What was I going to, oh, so total cost of raising these animals. You know, once you've got your initial investment of your cages and your watering cups, now as far as the cages go, a hutch like this, you know, I built this several years ago. Wood costs have gone up, but I think I got about a little over $100 in wood and materials in this hutch right here. I've got two of them that are about the same. They cost about the same amount to build. You can get away with pretty cheap lumber. These are 1x4s, I believe. So that's a lot cheaper than 2x4s. You don't necessarily need to go with 2x4. You know, in this sheet metal, I think I got that actually for free off Craigslist. So you may have to end up paying for something like that for a roof, or you could do several different things. But anyway, once you get your hutches built, you know, your watering system, you know, the feeders, like I said, these are cheap. These are like $5 for, you know, a couple of them that you can just cut up and make feeders. Incidentally, this is what I use for a waterer for wintertime as well. It works really well. Whenever the temperatures start going below freezing, you can just pour water in there. You don't have to worry about the birds getting in it, getting wet, freezing to the cage floor, any of that kind of stuff. They'll stick their head through and get as much as they need to drink. But once you got all that initial investment done, it's pretty cheap to raise these animals. It doesn't cost much at all. And if you're talking about costing less than $1 a month to raise, when you're talking about raising a baby up to processing size at about 8 weeks old, you've only got about $1.50 or so in that bird, because the first couple of weeks it's not eating nearly as much. It costs a lot less to raise it the first month of its life than it does the second month of its life. So you're really only looking at $1.50, $2 at the most per bird investment, not including your initial cage investments and all those kinds of things. And you know, they grow incredibly fast. So 8 weeks old, 8 to 10 weeks roughly, they're going to be ready for processing. And you can get incredibly cheap food out of those. You're talking about two of these, you know, we usually eat 2 per person whenever we're eating quail for dinner. So you're looking at an investment of, you know, 2 birds at less than $2 per bird. So you're looking at maybe $4 for an entire meal for a person. That's one whole serving. That may not be the absolute cheapest out there, but it's pretty cheap. So it's a pretty good investment when you want to raise your own feed. Now, you can get away with getting cheaper food, of course, but when you want to raise it yourself, know what goes into it yourself, you just can't hardly beat quail. Not only that, but this small footprint right here is it. This is what, I mean, this is like 6 foot, I think it's 8 foot by 3 foot. I don't know, let's see, how long is it? Yeah, it's probably about 8 feet. 8 feet wide by 3 foot wide, or 8 feet long by 3 foot wide, 18 inches, maybe 20 inches tall. Of course, it's a little bit taller than that with the roof on it and all that kind of stuff. It's about 7 feet tall, but this is it. And I can raise easily 30 birds in here, no problem. So I could take, in fact, if I was raising just to process them, just a meat run, and I wanted to raise them from, you know, babies up to processing size, 45 or 50 birds would easily fit in here up to the time that they begin to be processed. That wouldn't be a good long-term storage for them, a long-term cage for them, if you're going to keep them much longer than that. But if you're just growing them out to processing size, easily 50 birds in here. So, you know, they're just a fantastic animal to choose for, you know, if you're looking to get into something, even if you live in an urban environment like I do. I live in the city, and I can get away with raising these here. None of the neighbors complain. It's not a big deal. The amount of waste that they produce, it is quite a bit of waste, but as long as you have a way to deal with that, even if it is just occasionally bagging it up and putting it in the trash can and letting the trash take it, that even works just fine too. So anyway, that's my pitch for raising quail if you're not already doing it. Most of you guys watching probably are, but anyway, just wanted to give that little pitch. Hopefully you got the information you were looking for out of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, God bless.